Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley at sprinkledwithglitter.com. Thanks for joining me today. Have you ever purchased a product that just keeps getting better and better? For me, that is the Postage collage die from Waffle Flower Crafts because they just keep releasing all these fabulous new products that coordinate with it. And I'm going to be creating a colorful slimline card with those products today, along with that Postage collage die set, which I've used several times here on my channel. First, I wanted to show you some of the new products from Waffle Flower Crafts. This is Simply Said. It's an adorable, simple stamp set that's perfect. I'm going to be using that on today's card. Next up is the sealed sentiments and coordinating dies. These are adorable and they go perfectly with kind of this stationery theme and this wax seal trend that is everywhere right now. I will be using that on another card. Next up are the Subsentiments sealed, and it has things with sealed with gratitude, a lot of love, those sorts of things. This is the Postage collage butterfly set. These are actually perfectly sized to go on your Postage collage die, and I'll show you that here in just a moment. In case you're new here and you don't know what I'm referring to, I'll show you that previously released die that all of these coordinate with. Now we're going to get into some of the stencils and dies, which makes the Postage collage set so unique because there's so many stencil sets that go with the Postage collage die. This is a brand new one. This is called Postage collage gifts. This is the stencil and the die set. So this creates little gifts out of all of those little postage pieces. This is the Postage collage mini seals die. You can see there's some adorable mini wax seals that you can cut from some paper. I will be using that kind of greenery or leafery over to the side today on today's project. And then there's the dry flowers die. Now this can be used for a variety of things. These would look great in white cardstock on a colorful background, just a simple die cut element that you could add to really anything. And I have another card planned that I'll be sharing a little later this month. Now, the star of the show today are really these Postage collage envelope die and Postage collage envelope stencil set. I'm going to be creating a rainbow of colorful envelopes to put on my Slimline card today. And spoiler alert, we're just going to make up the size of our card. Don't worry, it's still going to work in a number 10 envelope, but I absolutely love these. Finally is the envelope die set, and this center die here creates the look of an envelope on a card front, an A2 size card front. And then of course you have all the accessories here. I will be using those hearts and I will use this envelope die in another video. So here's a look at some of the Postage collage elements that were previously released. Originally, this Postage collage die was released. This creates a panel that goes perfectly on the front of an A2 size card. You can also trim these apart, which I've done with some of these others here, and you get these individual postage pieces, and we'll be doing that with the envelopes today. So I'm starting out with that pre-cut Postage collage die cut, and I have the Postage collage envelopes die here, and I'm lining it up right on that die cut. Now there is a stitched border along the edge of this die cut, and this die lines up perfectly inside that stitched edge. So I'm just placing this onto my die cutting plates, and I'm gonna run this through my die cut machine. I did hold it in place with a little bit of tape, and you can see that this transforms all those little postage pieces into these mini envelopes. I love that the flaps actually open because that just makes it so much better. And then there's the little heart detail at the edge of each flap. Now I want to do my ink blending with the stencil, and I'm going to use my Waffle Flower grip mat that's from my Misty, but I'm removing part of the transparency from the back and cutting the corners at an angle so that there's more of the back side of this photopolymer grip mat exposed so it will stick better to my work surface. Now, I have the older version of the grip mat. I believe that the newer versions are a little stickier as well as have a smaller back cover so that you don't have to do this, but I'm just making use of what I have. And I pulled this right out of my Misty stamping tool. So I have my cardstock on my grip mat and I have my first stencil in place, which you can see adds color to all of these flaps. And I'm going in with a blending brush and several colors of ink here and blending color onto the flaps of these envelopes. So I'm going with watermelon, clementine, lemongrass, juniper, tide pool, and wild berry. And I'm trying to add a little bit darker ink around the bottom edge of each of these flaps. Now, once I have stencil number 1 completed, I'm going to place stencil number 2 down. And because I'm blending all of these in different colors, I'm going to trim apart a piece of acetate and use that as masks as I work around these envelopes. Because I have larger blending brushes, I am afraid that I'm going to get a little bit of color from each envelope on the neighboring envelope. So I'm just holding those pieces of acetate over the other envelopes as I ink blend each envelope. And you'll see me kind of move them around. I realize that the acetate isn't super visible on camera, but I'm just covering up all the envelopes that I'm not blending with the acetate and going in with the color on each envelope. Now, if you didn't want to mask, one thing that you could do is die cut 6 of these Postage Collage die cuts and blend the entire thing in a single color. So you could do a watermelon piece, a clementine piece, a lemongrass piece, so on and so forth. And then you would have 6 of each color of envelope that you could mix and match on several card projects. That might make this a little bit easier. Another fun idea is to take the Postage Collage die cut, the original base die cut that with the envelopes die, the Postage Collage envelopes die, out of colored cardstock. So you could use just colored cardstock and you wouldn't have to do any ink blending on these, and you would have all of these miniature solid colored cardstock envelopes that you could mix and match on various projects as well. So you can see I'm making my way through all of this ink blending. I am adding a little bit darker blending around the edges of the envelopes and leaving it a little lighter towards the center. You could just blend over in one color. You could also make these envelopes two-tone. So you could do the flap in one color and the body or the base of the envelope in a whole nother color. There's a lot of different options and variations that you can do with these products. And as I mentioned, this Postage Collage die from Waffle Flower just keeps getting better and better because they keep adding products to the line that coordinate with that base die, which means I can use it for a variety of occasions. I've used butterflies, there are cupcakes, there are Christmas designs and winter designs, so many ways that you can use this. And I love to trim these apart and use them as individual pieces. So once my blending's done, I'm going to bring out my wire guide trimmer. I'm lining up the wire of the wire guide trimmer right in between those holes between the envelopes, and I'm trimming along that line. So I'm going to trim these into individual little postage envelopes. I'm going to repeat this process until I've trimmed through all of them. You'll find that you can do this very easily with scissors as well. So if you don't have a wire guide trimmer, no worries. A pair of scissors works just fine. Now, once I have them all trimmed apart, I'm going to arrange them on my work surface and kind of play with different variations, different color orders, and see what I like best. Once I get them arranged, then I can kind of start building my card. But I will tell you, I went through several variations of card sizes for these pieces because I wanted to use the entire rainbow of envelopes that I had created. And there are 6 envelopes here. So I needed plenty of real estate in order to make this work. You're seeing me just kind of place them, readjust them, and find something that I'm happy with. But honestly, when I saw all of these laid out, I thought this will be the most adorable card. So I'm grabbing the envelope die here, and there are these little hearts that are included in this die set, and I'm going to die cut these hearts from coordinating cardstock for each of the colors that I use to ink blend. So I have wildberry, watermelon, clementine, tide pool, juniper, and lemongrass, and I am just going to die cut a simple heart out of each of these colors of cardstock to kind of layer up with the envelope pieces on the finished card project. And I'm so glad that there are 3 of these hearts because I can cut 3 different colors at the same time. So once I have all of these heart pieces die cut and placed with the coordinating envelope, I can go ahead and die cut a few more elements for my card. I have this little greenery piece or this little leafery floral piece from the Postage Collage Mini Seals die set, and I'm die cutting it from some white cardstock. I'm actually going to die cut it a few times so that I have several of these elements to work with. Now here's where I'm going to start kind of actually building the card. I have a 5x7 piece of cardstock down on my work surface, and I'm arranging my little postage envelopes across this piece. And this did not feel quite right to me because while it took up the horizontal area of the card really nicely, It felt like there was too much white space at the bottom and the top of this card project. I just felt like it looks fine, but it's not quite right. And I really did kind of go back and forth and round with which size card I wanted to create. And in the end, I ended up creating a card size that isn't necessarily considered a standard card size. You'll remember a week or two ago, I did this with some Pretty Pink Posh products as well. I just kind of made up my own card size because I felt like that's what would work. I'm arranging all of my pieces, and some of these smaller pieces, it's easier to kind of hold or place into place with an embellishment tool. So I have the wax tip of this embellishment tool that I'm using to pick up some of the die cut pieces and place them. Now, I definitely love where this is going, but I'm feeling like the card size still isn't right. I switched out that little strip sentiment with a sentiment from the Simply Said stamp set. And now I am taking my sticky mat, that trusty trick that I showed you a couple weeks ago, and I'm picking up all of these elements at once so I can keep them in the right grouping and arrangement that I want. And here's where I decided to create my own card size. So I'm trimming a piece of cardstock to 7.5 inches by 7 inches. I'm going to create a slimline card, but it's going to be kind of a custom size slimline card. Along that 7-inch edge, I am going to score this cardstock at 3.5 inches. So my finished card size is going to be 3.5 inches by 7.5 inches. Now, most slimline cards measure 3.5 inches by 8.5 inches, but that still felt a little bit wide for the elements that I had, so I decided to trim this down. Now, the benefit of this is that this is still going to fit in a number 10 envelope just fine, but it fits the elements that I have a little bit better. And so don't be afraid to trim your card sizes down to make proportions feel a little more right. You know what I'm saying? Now, before I add all of my elements onto my card front using some foam adhesive, you saw me flip my sticky mat over and add foam adhesive to all those little envelope pieces. I'm going to stamp my sentiment on my card front because if I mess this up, I can still save the card. I did not, spoiler alert, I did not mess this up because I'm using my Misty stamping tool, but I thought I better stamp this sentiment and make sure I get it in the right place before I add all of my envelopes. Plus, with the foam adhesive on the back of the envelopes, it would make it a little more difficult to stamp the sentiment where I want it. So I'm just placing my sticky mat with all of my envelope pieces on top of my card base inside my Misty stamping tool. I'm placing my sentiment stamp where I want it, and then I picked it up with the lid of my Misty. I'm going to stamp this in the VersaFine Clair Nocturne Black pigment ink right onto my card front, and I am just delicately pushing across the stamp. Now you can see I didn't get a great stamped image on the first. That's okay. I can close my lid and stamp again. I decided I wanted to intensify that black ink a little bit, so I re-stamped again by inking up the stamp and closing the lid of my Misty and just pressing along that stamp one more time. Now I'm removing the backer to the foam adhesive that I placed on all of those envelope pieces, and I'm placing this sticky mat directly onto my card front. It's actually adhering the envelopes because the sticky mat is holding the envelopes in place, and there's some foam adhesive on the back of those envelopes. Once those envelopes are in place, I'm going to carefully peel up the sticky mat because remember, there are little kind of working, moving flaps of these envelopes. And I do have the hearts and the little greenery pieces that I'm going to adhere in just a moment. I was able to keep the hearts attached to the sticky mat, so I'll just go and add a little foam adhesive on the edges of each of these hearts. And then once again, I'll use that sticky mat to my advantage to stick all of these hearts down at the same time. So I'll remove the backer on the foam adhesive on the back of the hearts and then reposition the sticky mat right over the card and place those hearts down. I'll just press on each of the hearts to make sure that I'm getting them stuck in the right place. I did kind of have to reach in there and hold some of them down because I don't have a lot of foam adhesive behind them. This took a little bit of time just to make sure that everything got adhered where it needed to go. You could, of course, individually place those hearts, but I had them on the sticky mat and I thought, might as well. Now for the greenery pieces, I'm using liquid glue and some tweezers and just tucking them into various places. And then I'm going to take each of the flaps of the envelope and kind of lift it with my tweezers to allow them to open just a little bit so it gives it a little more dimension. And I'm going to finish off my card with some crystal confetti. I'm just adding this on with a little bit of liquid glue and using my embellishment tool to get all of those pieces placed. So there you have it, a really colorful slimline card or custom size slimline card featuring some new and old products from Waffle Flower Crafts. I have to tell you, I love this postage collage theme they have going on. And the fact that they keep releasing new products to coordinate with that postage collage die makes that die even more useful. I can't wait to show you some other card projects featuring this brand new release. But for now, you should head on over to my Instagram because over there, I am giving away a $20 Waffle card gift card. Just find this post on Instagram and it will have all the details to enter to win there. I'll have links to all the featured products used in this project in the YouTube description below. So if you're looking for anything in particular, be sure you check there, or you can head on over to my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com. That will be linked below as well. Over there, you'll find more still shots, more information, and a complete list of supplies. By the way, I did want to let you know there is a gift with purchase available over at Waffle Flower Crafts right now. Be sure to check that out, and I'll have details for that in the YouTube description below as well as over at my blog. I want to say thanks so much for stopping by and hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed this card project and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications here so you don't miss any of my paper crafting, card making, and live stream Carissa Crafts live broadcasts. We have so much fun on our live streams. Thanks again for watching. I'm so glad you're here. And until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.